Out that big, beautiful yellowfin tuna taken out of Dana Point, California, here today by Current Sport Fishing. They saw foamers of yellowfin tuna, small little spots, but they threw a surface iron on it and they got rewarded with a magnificent catch, perhaps a sign that yellowfin and other warm water species are going to start moving in. And now let's go to Catalina Island, where Charlie Mott, this private boater, found a kelp patty 3 miles from the east end of Catalina Island and picked off a couple of flatheads, a couple of dorado on bait. Certainly a sign that warm water species are starting to push into Southern California. It's just a few fish right now, but we need to watch this and monitor for you very, very closely. And we will be doing that right here at Friedman Adventures. Hey, good Sunday morning, everybody, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. And you can just take a highlighter or an underline beautiful day because it is sunny and warm here in SoCal. It's a gorgeous beach day. Surfers are having fun. Guys are jogging and walking up and down the beach. And the fishing, we've got some really exciting stuff for each and every one of you here this morning, including dorado taken 3 miles from Catalina Island. Is that a one-off or is that a sign of things to come? At the very same time, out of Dana Point, we had a big yellowfin tuna, but more fish were seen. We're going to look at the long-range scene. We'll look at Ensenada. We're going to check out those big bluefin tuna up here in the LA Orange County area. Well, actually, out there near San Nicolas, San Clemente, Catalina Island. We'll check that out. The Coronado Islands has been remarkably wide open. It's been spectacular. We've got that and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh, what a beautiful Sunday morning it is. Thanks for taking time to spend a little bit of your day with me. I really, really appreciate that, as do I appreciate all the likes and sharing our videos and subscribing to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel, as well as ticking that little bell so you'll be notified when there's new content. 2 live shows for you. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we'll be live from 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California, with the Danny Cadota Show. Danny's going to delve into all of this stuff that's going on and give you years and years and years of his expertise and observations about whether he thinks we might be having a big dorado year. Then at 6 p.m., we'll be live from Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California, with my dear friend Sam De La Torre on Tackle Shop Confessions. So a really big Monday plan for each and every one of you. All right, let's jump into it. Let me take my hat off too. I can't actually because my hands are full. But Jaime Fernandez with his first tuna ever. And in this case, it's a beautiful bluefin tuna. Jaime's a loyal Friedman Adventures fan, and I'm a loyal Jaime Fernandez fan. Great job, my friend. Really great to see that. Ensenada, we have got some windier conditions offshore. Now, offshore, if you find that right kelp patty, you're going to get well in a hurry on some nice yellowtail. There's 8-pound fish. There's 20-plus pound fish on the kelps. There's also a few more dorado every single day. You have a very good chance at picking off a dorado or tuna. If you get lucky, maybe a few more than that. There's a little bit of yellowfin tuna circulating down there also. Some guys have had that. But most of the time, you're going to be catching kelp patty, yellowtail, and that bluefin is all around there also. So you've got an incredible mix of fish, which is only going to get better as we push deeper into summer and ultimately into the fall when we have our best weather months for both northern Baja and southern California. So get ready for some real fun. You're just seeing the beginning of all of this down there in Mexico. Now, as we look at the local scene, there's still those bird schools of yellowtail that pop up from time to time. Now, a bird school is, you'll actually see the birds coming down at the water. What are they doing? Well, game fish like yellowtail force bait to the surface, and then the birds exploit that and go down and pick off a free meal or two. And they thank the yellowtail for doing just that. But more importantly to you as an angler, it points the way to where those fish are at. So your captain will see that bird school. He'll haul butt over there, and then you've got to be Johnny on the spot with a surface iron in most cases, something like a Tatty 45. You chuck that in the middle of those boiling, frothing yellowtail, take a couple of winds, fishing with 40 or 50 pound, and man, there's nothing like it when you get hooked up on one of those yellows. We're seeing a lot of that. There's good barracuda action. There's plenty of rockfish. There's some sand and calico bass. Ensenada offers a lot of different options to you right now, and it's such a great place to hang out in. Great food, great people, Baja hospitality for sure. All right, let's talk long range for a second. Guys down there around Alejos Rock still coming up with excellent yellowtail action. Some of that action in the nighttime hours on dropper loop, and then there's some great yellowtail action in the daytime. Also, there's yellowfin tuna and some nice wahoo fishing going on down there. And you also get a shot at some grouper and that kind of stuff. And a lot of guys coming back from that 8-day region will pull into the Baja coast, and they've had great calico bass fishing. We've seen a good amount of white sea bass, more yellowtail, sheephead, and rockfish. It's really been great for the variety on the 8-day trips, and that just seems to be continuing. So good stuff going on there. Let's check out that big bluefin tuna area. And that again is up there, you know, behind Catalina, west of San Clemente, not quite to Nicholas. It's out in that region. Fish move around, and the boys are adept at getting on it. One of those boys is the Polaris Supreme. And Paul Fanning is on board that. Paul has a YouTube channel, by the way, called California Saltwater Fishing, and he does a great job. He puts a lot of effort into it, and he's just one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Subscribe to California Saltwater Fishing on YouTube, and you can follow Paul there. In fact, I'm sure he's going to put a great video together on what's going on the Polaris Supreme right now. After a couple of nights, they have 103 bluefin tuna. Nice one last night. One of the fish last night, almost 200 pounds. Really good fishing. They've also had some daytime fishing on fish up to 30 pounds. It's smaller grade, but like every 5 or 6 times you'd stop on a school of fish, they bite, and they bite pretty well. Sometimes they're very finicky, and you've got to fish 25-pound fluorocarbon. Other times they'll bite the 40. Choosing a good hot bait, always essential to your success, but really good stuff for Paul on the Polaris Supreme, with one caveat. Man, what are they getting their butts kicked. It's nasty weather up there, and you better be on a Cadillac. Cadillacs are the big long-range boats. You better be on a Cadillac to fish in that snot weather right now. It's nasty. In fact, Paul and the Polaris Supreme right now on Sunday morning are pulling in to the Coronado Islands to experience some of that great yellowtail action, which I'll get into with you in a moment. But they're pulling in there, and even after catching copious amounts of those nice bluefin tuna, a lot of those fish up over the 100-pound mark, they're happy to have tranquil seas this morning. Paul said it's nice to just be in some weather where it's not blowing and there's not a big swell. So kind of a situation right now where the moon phase is really good. The Supreme with a nice hit with over 100 bluefin tuna and still with a day to fish, and the weather's up. So you have all of those things combining together. Now, when that weather comes down, if this fish bites the way it's biting in this crummy weather, look out, my friends. It's really going to get good. Talk to the Independents and my friend Brian Pfeiffer. Brian saying the same thing. Seeing that fish in the daytime, it's biting fish now in the daytime, like up to 30 pounds. Nice bluefin tuna, bite in the daytime hours. Not wide open, but pretty darn steady fishing. And then at night last night, the Independents hammering down on some really big grade bluefin tuna. The nice big fish come out to play at night. The daytime fish are a little bit smaller, but I got to tell you, that is really great stuff. All right, let's talk kelp patty yellowtail down below San Diego. And again, it's a situation the same as it is in Ensenada right now. You have got to find that right kelp patty, and that is really a numbers game. The more kelps you find, the more likely it is you'll find one that's holding yellowtail, dorado. You might even see some bluefin and maybe a yellowfin on these kelps. You certainly will see that as we push deeper into summer again, and we get that variety of fish, which makes kelp patty fishing in the summer and fall out of San Diego and here in the LA Orange County area spectacular. I love the variety. But right now, if you find that right kelp, you can get well in a hurry, like the Tribute did yesterday with over 70 yellowtail and a couple of flatheads, a couple dorado to go along with it. You can't beat that. I'll tell you right now, you find that right kelp, you're good. And again, the same thing. 25 pound when they're not biting that well and you need a good hot bait. You can go to the 40 pound if they start biting nails and chewing on everything in the water. Keep it in mind, and you should do really well. Tax problems, unfiled taxes, call our buddy Tim Marquez. He's standing by waiting for you right now. And if you have heating and or air conditioning needs, it's John Lopez at Efficient Heating and Air Conditioning. The islands now, Coronado Islands, parking lot. Again today, there's so many boats there. It really is spectacular fishing. So many yellowtail have come out of the Coronado Islands this year. And in fact, we've even seen a few more bluefin tuna being taken at the Coronado Islands, and that is great stuff. Justin Bishop. Justin, it's been way too long, my friend. Nice going with that BFT at the Coronado Islands. Of course, he also had barracuda, yellowtail, everything else. The main focus at the Coronado Islands is on yellowtail in the 8 to 20 pound class, mostly a bait bite. You know, same thing, 25 pound if they're finicky, 40 pound if they're eating everything you throw at them, and some surface ironfish also in there, like a Taddy 45 mint color. You can hardly go wrong fishing that. Remember, that allows you to fish heavy line, nothing less than 40. I like 50 when you're throwing the iron. That'll really get it done for you. But we did see scores kind of back off a little bit yesterday. There was some decent scores, but a mix of scores, and it was boat pressure. And as I tell you all the time, and I know your boss doesn't really like this kind of advice, but fishing weekdays on charter boats, on open party boats, and on private boats is the way to do it when you have this kind of a bite. The Point Loma had 12 yellowtail yesterday. I talked to some private boaters who were frustrated with the boat pressure and didn't do that well, and other guys who had limits. It's a mix right now, and that should return to really big scores again. Remember, the Mission Bell out of Point Loma Sport Fishing, they've been cranking over 100 yellowtail on such a regular basis this year. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best years I've seen in probably decades at the Coronado Islands for consistency and numbers of yellowtail. It has been spectacular. Let's take you out to San Clemente Island, and SCI has been producing some good yellowtail action. Of course, you're not very far from the bluefin tuna either, so you've got a shot at that, no question about it. I talked to Will Hogue on the El Dorado. He said, Phil, we had 16 nice big yellowtail. Nice go-around on the yellows, and they're big and they're tough. They're fun to catch. You know, it's dropper loop fishing in the nighttime hours and into the early morning hours. 50 pound with a big hook, like a 5-0 hook. Plenty of live squid to be made over there on most nights, so you can fish out in the daytime. They're still catching yellows and some big ones also. We've been saying a lot of that daytime fish is smaller, and it seems to be, but that does not preclude you catching a nice trophy fish. There's been some really great stuff, including, you know, your first yellowtail. Kids on the El Dorado, they had their first yellowtail, and I don't know how you can beat that. Thunderbird said we had to work for it hard, but we did, and we ended up with 25 yellows and a bluefin tuna, 23 yellows and a white sea bass on board the Amigo, the Freedom over there, with 4 bluefin and 4 halibut looking for that bluefin tuna bite. But again, that weather is not too nice up there in that neck of the woods. Sheba Cat, that's what he goes by when he's commenting on our YouTube videos. That's Ryan. Ryan, you're number one. Really appreciate all you do. He jumped on the new San Mateo, and he said they made it from Dana to San Clemente Island in 3 hours. Man, they were there and fishing in a hurry. They ended up with 5 yellowtail. 3 of those fish in the 26 to 28 pound class. You see a photo of Sheba Cat. That's Ryan with the smaller yellow and Jordan with a much bigger yellowtail. So some really excellent fishing going on at San Clemente Island right now. We'll take you up to Catalina Island, where there has been some interesting stuff going on here recently, including a dorado, 2 dorado, taken on a kelp 3 miles from the east end of the island yesterday. That is fantastic. You saw that on the lead in, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come. That was Charlie Mott, private boater, rolled up on a kelp, threw a couple of baits, hung a couple of dorado. Good sign. Now, I know it's only 2 dorado, so let's not get too carried away. And that yellowfin tuna caught by Current Sport Fishing out of Dana Point yesterday. Big fat YFT. Those are warm water species, both the dorado and the yellowfin tuna. We're wondering if that's going to push in. It's really an enigmatic year. I mean, when you juxtapose that, the dorado and the yellowfin tuna, to a lot of local boats who are fishing sculpin and rockfish, it makes you scratch your head and say, what exactly is going on this year? Is it a cold water La Nina year like we're getting into? or is it a warm water year? It's kind of a little bit of both. So I see a lot of interesting stuff in our future as we move up on deeper into summer and also see what happens in the fall months. It should be really, really interesting stuff. Ernie Montano has a 2.5-day trip coming up on board the Amigo. And he asks a question I get all the time. What kind of tackle should I bring on the trip? And the honest answer to you, Ernie, and everybody out there is, you've got to wait till you're much closer to your trip. I get guys that'll say, hey, your September 2-day trip on board the Apollo, are we for sure fishing for bluefin tuna? And I have to say, man, that's like 2 months away. Even if it's a week away, I have no idea what we're going to be fishing for. I have no idea what kind of tackle you're going to need. I can tell you what you need tomorrow, but it's very difficult to project into the future. And it puts you in a very tough position. I understand that. You're trying to get ready. You're trying to get all the tackle you need and be ready for your trip, which is 3 weeks away or a month away or a week away. My advice is you hang on and wait, because what I'm going to tell you right now is bring the kitchen sink. Bring 2-speed reels, 100-pound Spectra, 200-pound bite material, down to 25-pound fluorocarbon type rigs. Bring everything you've got. Now, you may get to your trip and the weather is so up in the big bluefin zone, your captain might say, you can leave all that heavy stuff at home. We're going to be fishing the island. There's no way we can fish in this weather. So here's my advice. Wait till you're closer to your trip, all of you, and then have a conversation with somebody at the landing. Or if you're doing a charter, you know, like Mark Paisano Jr. on board the Amigo, you call him up and you say, Mark, what do I need to bring on this trip? And you're going to get a lot more current info and better advice than I can give you several weeks out from your trip. So I think that's the best advice I could give you. At Catalina Island, the El Patron has been picking more and more yellowtail on a regular basis, and they've also had good calico bass fishing, sheephead, whitefish, rockfish, occasional halibut, occasional white sea bass. The Pursuit also over there doing pretty good. He had a couple of halibut and that mix of fish. That's what's been going on at Catalina. And once again, everybody, the El Patron has daily limited load trips out of Long Beach Sportfishing. You can hardly beat the customer service, and fishing ultra limited load is so much fun. www.longbeachsportfishing.org. Get on the El Patron and have a really, really good time up there. Channel Islands, we're waiting for that white sea bass explosion again. There's been some great signal on the white sea bass up there, but we are dealing with weather up there, and fishing the outer islands has become really much more difficult in this weather. Maybe somebody's sitting on a sea bass score. We'll see. The Endeavor and some guys like that keep a lid on it for a little while because they don't want to see a parking lot in the area where they caught their fish and get all those boats in there. But for now, you are dealing with some pretty tough weather. We'll just see how that plays out. There's some barracuda, there's some sand bass on the coast, and there's excellent rock fishing like the Island Spirit yesterday out of Ventura Sportfishing, 38 anglers. Wow, 322 on the rockfish, a couple of links at 27 barracuda. They're fishing combo trips, trying to get that surface bite, falling back on the rockfish, a couple of calico bass, and a halibut, the Aloha Spirit yesterday with a yellowtail and a white sea bass. That fish is there. We're just dealing with a little bit of weather. There's squid up there, and that's going to act as a magnet to attract more fish in. The Aloha Spirit has seen a lot of fish here recently. The Endeavor's had some great scores. Several other boats have been catching pretty good barracuda, and they caught them yesterday out there at the islands. So the more local islands, so really good. Anacapa, Santa Cruz, there's gar running around there, and hopefully it's going to continue to bite. Incidentally, when you're fishing barracuda, there's no better way to do it than on the iron, throwing a jig. You're not quite sure, have a conversation with a deckhand, and they'll tune you up, and you'll be catching barracuda like you can't believe. You can get on board the Island Spirit. They're out with a big load because kids fish free today, but they're running all week long, and it's so much fun to fish that boat with Captain Daniel Hadaway. They're a great crew, and they're great fishing. You're going home with a lot of great eating fish right now. Perhaps you'll get a really good surface bite. 805-676-3474, or you can go to www.venturasportfishing.com and get on board the Island Spirit and have a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite rigs to fish on. I thoroughly enjoy my time up there. Once I finish with the Orange County Fair, I'm headed right back up there to do some fishing again along the coast, picking at the bass. As I mentioned, it's a weird thing, man. I mean, it's freaking July, and we're still catching sculpin, whitefish, and rockfish in many areas here. But there is some signal. You know, you get a white sea bass and a yellowtail every once in a while on the half and 3/4 day boats out of San Diego picking at the bass, sometimes a little bit better than a pick. And then you move up to Dana and they release a lot of smaller bass, but there's good action up here in the LA Orange County area, Long Beach, San Pedro. We continue to see occasional hits on the calico bass and sand bass, and then back to sculpin and whitefish and rockfish. It's pretty darn incredible what is going on this year. Is it a cold water year or is it a dorado year? That is the question that looms here this beautiful Sunday morning. And up there in the Channel Islands, we pretty much covered that. Don't forget Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, California, on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They've got all your bait needs. They've got all the tackle you'll need. Man, I'll tell you, you stop by there and then hit the surf where it's been pretty darn productive here recently, and you'll have a lot of fun. And don't forget Big Fish Bait and Tackle giving away a beautiful custom surf fishing rod every single month. All you have to do is walk in there, buy the ruler, and then you'll use that to measure your fish, take photos, and upload to their Instagram page. They'll give you all the details at Big Fish Bait and Tackle, San Diego area. Some nice halibut down there being taken. Occasional striper also. There's good barred perch. Still biting down around Huntington Beach, but more corvina from there up to the Santa Monica Bay. And off El Segundo, we see a lot of beans right now in the surf, and they're biting on bait in the short water, like a foot or two of water, and also a lot of yellowfin croaker, but they move around a lot. They were here, they moved out of here. There's been some good stuff up in the Santa Monica Bay on the YOC. All right, my friends, what can I tell you? It's a gorgeous Sunday morning, and I am so appreciative to you for spending some time with me. And as always, I can't thank you enough for the likes and the shares and everything you do to make Friedman Adventures so popular, with thousands of hits, not only on our YouTube channel, but on our Instagram page, our TikTok, and our Facebook. Man, I'll tell you, the support is just really makes me so grateful to each and every one of you. Take care. Have a lovely Sunday, and I hope to see you really, really soon. 2 live shows tomorrow. Don't miss them.